Hello. Welcome to Ecommerce Expert, Absolute Commerce, Money, Invest. The world is getting more technologically advanced day by day. And even though Ecommerce has been around for decades, it's still evolving. With these changes come new challenges for high-tech companies. The challenges of running an Ecommerce business in the high-tech space are numerous, and some challenges are more common than others. Running an Ecommerce business is not just about sales. You have to consider many challenges, from security to data protection to fraud. Here we will look at 5 of the most common Ecommerce challenges facing the high-tech industry, as well as solutions for each one. 1. Fraud. In today's age of data breaches and identity theft, high-tech Ecommerce businesses are particularly susceptible to fraud. The most common cause is poor data security that leads to personal information being stolen from your customers. This personal information can then be used to make fraudulent purchases online or attempt to steal even more personal information from your customers through phishing attempts. In 2017, merchants lost $16 billion to fraud. As retailers gain more experience fighting fraud, they're also getting better at preventing it. This is good news for merchants, but bad news for fraudsters. As a result, fraudsters are looking for new ways to commit Ecommerce fraud and take advantage of unsuspecting merchants. They're doing things like using bots to bypass CAPTCHA tests and employing sophisticated phishing techniques in order to target companies' employees. The first step to tackle fraud is education. Know all the signs, and be able to spot them quickly before you lose money and damage your reputation with customers as a result. The second step is prevention. Use tools and technology like MFA, multi-factor authentication, so that you're not blindly accepting orders without verifying information first. 2. This can help you reduce fraud by up to 80%. 3. The best way to prevent this type of fraud is staying on top of the latest trends in fraud prevention technology by doing your research and reading up on the newest developments in the industry. Your business should also have an anti-fraud strategy that evolves as technology changes so that you can protect yourself against these threats before they cause major damage to your business. To prevent fraud in your business, it's important to invest in a quality web security system that will keep your customer data safe from would-be thieves. This can be by implementing strong authentication systems on their websites and applications so that customers who are trying to log into their accounts are required to provide some form of verification before they're allowed access. This could include things like CAPTCHA codes or answering security questions correctly. Companies could also require customers to enter credit card information, which will then verify them as being legitimate users who aren't trying to commit identity theft or commit any other kinds of fraudulent activity related to online banking transactions like making unauthorized purchases with stolen credit cards, etc. 2. Business intelligence. Business intelligence is the ability to use data collected by an organization to make informed decisions about how to best reach goals and meet objectives. Obtaining and applying this type of information requires advanced skill and technology, which translates into higher expenses than the average business owner can afford. At the heart of every successful business lies intelligence. Using business intelligence, you can predict and control outcomes like sales growth and customer retention rate. The problem is that when it comes to high-tech Ecommerce platforms like Shopify Plus or BigCommerce Enterprise, that business intelligence is often difficult to access, and when you do manage to get your hands on it, it's often hard to interpret. Ecommerce companies need to know everything about their customers, from demographics to shopping habits, but if you're relying on spreadsheets and other outdated forms of data management, you might feel like you're swimming in a sea of information, without a way to make heads or tails of it. Many high-tech companies have an abundance of data but lack the resources or expertise needed to make sense of it all. It's essential for high-tech companies to hire someone who understands how to interpret large amounts of data so they can better understand their customers' needs and optimize their sales tactics accordingly. As a result, these businesses will see an increase in revenue and customer satisfaction over time. Imagine a world without Google Analytics or Shopify. You'd have to look at every individual transaction to see what your customers were buying, how many were coming back, and where they came from when they first discovered you. The solution, business intelligence, by software allows you to collect and analyze massive amounts of data, so that you can make sense of it all, then develop strategies based on your findings. You'll be able to see, at a glance, what your customers want and how they shop, and that means your customers will get what they're looking for when they want it most. You can also get yourself a data analyst with a knack for technology who can turn all that complicated data into simple graphs and charts that let you know exactly what's going on with your business at any given moment. If you're not already tracking these metrics, start now. If you are tracking them, make sure you're actually doing something with the data. Not only will this help your business grow, you'll be able to target more of your audience, it'll also keep you ahead of the curve on popular trends. 3. Loss of customer information. The internet is a big place, which means there are plenty of hackers out there looking to steal your customers' information and sell it on the black market, or use it themselves. The widespread use of cloud storage has made it easier than ever for consumers to shop online, but it also makes it easier for hackers and cybercriminals to steal information from customers and companies alike. There's nothing worse than losing important customer information, especially when it's because of your own bungling. Do yourself a favor and write everything down, whether it be in a notebook or on your computer. For extra credit, back up all this information in a separate location where hackers can't get at it. If you're still relying on spreadsheets and local hard drives for customer data, you run the risk of losing that data in an instant if something happens to your system, like a virus or a flood. That means losing touch with customers who've helped make your company what it is today. And that's just sad. The solution, cloud-based storage, means that you'll never lose customer data again because it's saved on servers. Make sure there's redundancy between your main system and a secondary backup system so that if one fails, you won't lose any information and will experience minimal downtime while you get it back up and running again. Businesses have to have a great deal of software, both in-house and in the cloud, to keep their customers' data secure. It's not just that it's required by law, it's also just smart business. In order to conduct business transactions between customers and employees, you need to be sure that their information is safe, whether it's credit card or bank account numbers or simply email addresses. No customer will feel comfortable giving you that information if they don't trust you to protect it. 4. Web security. One of the biggest issues facing e-commerce websites is web security. A lot of people have a misconception that their credit card information will be safe if they shop online, but this isn't always true. You should always be vigilant about who has access to your personal information and make sure that it's protected at all times. E-commerce sites are a prime target for hackers, because they store valuable customer data that can be quickly monetized on the black market. To improve e-commerce web security, experts recommend using an SSL certificate to encrypt your website and store data. This adds a layer of protection for your visitors and helps you protect their data from being stolen by cybercriminals. It also makes sure that the connection between your site and the customer is secure so no one can eavesdrop on your transactions. Also ensure that your site is PCI compliant. You should also make sure that you are using strong passwords and doing regular scans of your system to look for malware and other viruses. These are just some of the basics, but a great place to start. 5. Data protection. Another thing that many people don't think about when shopping online is data protection. The more information you give out about yourself, such as your address or phone number, the greater risk there is for identity theft or fraud. When you are running an e-commerce store, you will be collecting a lot of personal information from your customers in order to process orders. This includes names and addresses, plus credit card details. If this data was ever compromised, the consequences for your business could be catastrophic, so it is important that you take steps to protect it as best as possible. To prevent payment fraud and consumer identity theft, make sure all credit card information is stored securely. The best way to do this is to use a third-party processor who has their own encryption methods and security protocols in place. Even if someone were to get an account number or password from your customers, they wouldn't be able to access anything, because all payments are processed elsewhere. Make sure that sensitive information, like usernames and passwords, are encrypted when they're stored in your database as well. Make sure that any third-party payment processors that you use are PCI compliant and encrypt all of the credit card information before it is sent so that it cannot be intercepted by hackers. It also makes sense to have clear privacy policies on your site explaining what information is being collected and how it will be used so that your customers are comfortable sharing their details with you. Many e-commerce businesses have to deal with security issues on a daily basis. With the growth of e-commerce, and massive data breaches in the news, security is a top concern for all business owners. In fact, online shopping is often considered unsafe because of the risk of credit card fraud. Not only does this increase the chances of customers abandoning their carts or not completing a purchase, but it also damages your company's reputation as well. If you want to make your e-commerce platform more secure, you need to do 1. Install an SSL certificate on your website. This will encrypt all the data that passes through your servers and protect it from hackers. This is an encryption system that protects customer information and makes it unreadable to anyone who doesn't have the right key. You can tell if a site hasn't been secured because it will say http:// instead of https:// at the beginning of the web address. You'll also see an icon of a padlock in your browser window. 2. Make sure there are no vulnerabilities in your code that could be exploited by attackers looking to steal information or take control over the website itself, for example, SQL injection. 3. Use a WAF, web application firewall, like Cloudflare to block malicious traffic before it reaches your servers. This also helps with those attacks. Other best ways to handle these issues is to choose an e-commerce platform that integrates with a gateway provider like Authorize.net, PayPal, or Stripe. These platforms are equipped with high security standards and compliance programs that protect against fraud and breaches. It's also important to make sure your website uses an SSL certificate for data encryption, which authenticates your site and helps to keep customers' information safe during transactions. 4. Use strong passwords and change them regularly. Make sure your employees are doing the same thing. Employee accounts are a major target for hackers, so make sure they're protected too. E-commerce is a complicated process, especially for high-tech products. If you're meeting the above challenges, then you're probably struggling to keep up with your competition. Thank you for watching and please subscribe, like and share our videos.